So today I want to talk about the word you in formal writing, that is, writing we do in an academic setting, why it should be avoided, and some quick tips of how to avoid it. So the word you is obviously that second person pronoun is used when the writer is directly addressing the reader. That's why it's usually only appropriate to use in a letter or text or message sent directly to one person, because otherwise we end up directly addressing our reader in an academic setting, and that can get kind of complicated. So reasons why the word you should be avoided in formal writing is, as I said, it ends up we're addressing the reader directly. And that can make us come off as condescending. If I have a sentence like, 3 things you need to know before baking a cake, you're assuming the reader doesn't know those 3 things. If you say 3 of the best destinations you could ever travel to, you're assuming they haven't been there or that they don't have a difference of opinion. It's much, much better to simply present our ideas as they are without addressing our reader. It's usually only acceptable to use the word you when writing a letter or message to a specific person, or if you happen to be writing dialogue, like, "Hey you!" she shouted at me. When it's people talking, it's fine because people use the word you in speech and conversation all the time. Because otherwise, like I said, we end up making assumptions or projecting something onto the reader. Either way, it can make the reader disengage with whatever it is that we are writing, whatever we're trying to tell them. And that's never a good thing. That's never a good sign. Now, avoiding the word is actually, it can be fairly easy, provided we recognize we're using it. And that's the big trick. We have to actually recognize that we're using it and tell ourselves we have to fix that. So there's a couple quick changes. Almost any worse usage of the word you can be easily avoided by substituting a more general word like one or a person, and I'll give you some examples of that in a minute. Usually it's better to use a specific word to the context or to just reword the sentence entirely. Whatever you have to do to get rid of that word you is gonna be good. Anything to get rid of it is what we want to do. So let me show you some examples. I've already listed a couple. Let me show you 3 specific ones. A couple of these are actually things I've seen in our writing. So look at these 3 sentences. 3 things you should look out for when riding a bike. When making a video game, first you have to have a concept. It was the biggest tree you ever saw. Each of these yous is unnecessary, they project onto the reader, and they make assumptions about them. Let's get rid of the yous, and let me show you how easy this can be. I'm just going to do the quickest fix I can. Watch this. 3 things you should look out for when riding a bike. 3 things one should look out for when riding a bike. Fixed it, and that works. When making a video game, first, one has to have a concept. Okay, that was a little wobbly. It doesn't really work the best, but it's better than a you. And then this next one, it was the biggest tree a person ever saw. Now I'm generalizing and saying this is the biggest tree ever, and not just linking it to one specific person. Now, this isn't to say these are the only ways that this can be done. Let me show you a couple other ways to fix any of these sentences. And there's countless others, so I'm not going to spend too long with this because, there's as many ways to change this as there are words in the English language, I guess. So, 3 things you should look out for when riding a bike. I just take out the you entirely. 3 things to look out for when riding a bike. It's pretty much the same thing, just now it's a general statement. Or when making a video game, a good concept is the first requirement. Just restructured that sentence just a little bit. Or, it was the biggest tree ever seen. So some other changes, and it's saying all the same things, just without that word you. So here's what I charge you with, my virtual students. Stop using the word you, unless you are writing dialogue or writing a letter to a specific person. Not a group of people, not an unknown person, a specific person that you know personally, because you is a form of personal address. It will make your writing appear stronger and more focused. Plus, it is just good practice. That is the accepted convention that we don't use you in formal writing settings. So, that is my charge to you. Stop using the word you in your writing. So if you need to, from here on out, anything you write, review it, look it over, proofread it, look for any usages of the word you, and get rid of them. You might see me starting to ask you to redo some things if that word keeps popping up. Good luck!